What's up, guys? So yes, I am in a different place. Again, as per the life update video, this is part of the bit that I am keeping to myself for now. Although I imagine you, as an audience, are smart enough to figure out what it is that I'm not confirming or denying. But this video is a storytime video, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna tell a story, and this one is actually similar to my last one. This one is also one to do with my amateur film career thus far, as it were. So this is a fun one. So this is back when I was living in Inverell. I had myself a little one-bedroom apartment that I was living in. My day job was I worked in the palletizing area of an abattoir. So the boxes would come to me with the already cut meat, and all I would have to do is make sure that all of the same product ended up on the same pallet, so that when I got loaded into the trucks, they knew that that was a pallet purely of, porterhouse, or that was specifically a brisket one, etc. So that was my job, was to make sure they were all on the right pallets, so that when they were loaded onto trucks, the abattoir knew exactly what it was sending out. The hours for that were 3 in the morning I was up at 3 in the morning. It was 5 in the morning, get the correct times, till 3 in the afternoon. I was usually up at 3 in the morning because I am not a morning person, and to this day, it has messed around my sleeping pattern so much, and it's one of the major reasons why I have insomnia. There's a full thing there. I do have stories from that time, so I will get into that at some point. But as I said, this is a film one. That's just a little bit of necessary backstory for the beginning of this story. So, on this particular day in question, I had been asked to go and help someone who was coming back to Inverell for the film festival to direct some short films for him. So he'd gone to the Friday. I'd been working, so I wasn't actually able to attend the Friday session, and knowing that I had the directing the next day, I didn't go to the awards night either, so I kind of missed the festival that year because I was working. So I've come home 3 in the afternoon. I'm exhausted. I've just done what's that, 10-hour day with the maximum total of a 1-hour break once you added up all the little bits. So I am exhausted. I come in and I'm just ready for bed. So I start going through them, like having a shower, getting into some pajamas and stuff, cooking myself dinner, sit down for a little bit of TV stuff, and then I sort of head to bed. And so yeah, so on this day in question, I'd been asked to go and direct these films for this guy who's coming back to town. He was going to be producing them, and he was also acting in one of them, like a minor role. And between you and me, I'm pretty sure that was just so that he could be on set to make sure that I was doing things the way he wanted them to, despite the fact that that's not how the film industry works. At least to my knowledge. I'm pretty sure the producer does not get to dictate how the director directs a film. But again, amateur filmmaker. So I've woken up from what possibly could have been at that point in time one of the best night's sleep of my life, realized, oh crap, it's like 10 o'clock and I was asked to be there by like 8:30, 9 at the latest. It's already 10 o'clock. I've still got to get dressed and get myself up there. So it's 10:30 by the time I rock up. But I had these lovely text messages in all caps by the end. There was like 5 in total. We've been sending one like every 5 minutes sort of thing. And by the end of them, they were all caps. So I've gone, yep, cool, whatever. Quickly gotten dressed, hopped on my bike, and I've, at the time I had a motorbike, and I've ridden up there to the location where we were filming. So I get there, and the other actors are already sort of in position. They're ready to go. They'd been sort of rehearsing the scene. The rest of the crew, there was 2 other people on the crew besides myself, which means I had a clapper loader, which is the person that does the clapperboard, and I had a boom mic operator, and then I was the cinematographer / director. So I was in charge of getting it framed, getting it shot, getting the actors to, giving my ideas to the actors on how they could better portray a particular, better present a particular line, sort of thing. Doing my direct beers. And it's all gone pretty well from the beginning. We then sort of finished this. There's basically 2 scenes in this first day's film. There were 2 films, 2 days we were filming, 1 apiece. And so we've basically finished scene 1 out of 2 scenes, sort of thing. And so the producer's like, okay, cool, we're gonna sort of break for lunch now. I'm gonna grab it, it's already been paid for, so I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna grab it, I'll be right back. So we're thinking town's like 5 minutes away, 10 if there's like really bad traffic. Shouldn't take him more than, if he's only going down and picking it up and coming back, shouldn't take him more than about 15 minutes, if we're going to give it sort of a ballpark figure. So we're like, yep, cool, whatever, thinking we're only going to be sitting there for 15 minutes waiting. Well, I think we ended up waiting for a half hour, but before he had left, I sort of pulled him aside and was like, hey, look, I understand that I was late this morning, but I really don't appreciate the fact that you're basically yelling at me through these tasks when I'm not being paid to direct these films. So, like I'm volunteering to do these. The way you're treating me doesn't make me want to show up. You know what I mean? Like, I could have just been like, if you're going to be like that, find another director short notice. But that's not who I am. So I went anyway. So he was like, yeah, okay, cool, yeah, I apologize, sort of thing, like, I do appreciate you doing this volunteer, on a volunteer basis, sort of thing, etc. I was like, yep, no, too easy. Just, make sure that I can get a copy of either the film or the rushes when this is all over. Now, for those of you who aren't filmmakers like me, the rushes is the raw footage at the end of a shoot before it gets edited. If I'd been able to have that, I would have been able to make a director's cut. So anyway, so he's gone off. Half hour later, he's finally rocked back up with a Subway platter, which you can literally just order on your phone, pay for it on your phone, go down, collect, and come back. So he should have only had to go to... What we're thinking is, what he meant to say was, I'm going to go pick up lunch. I'm paying for it. I shouldn't be too long. But his words and his intentions did not match up. So we're all a little annoyed and thoroughly hungry by the time he gets back. So there was the 2 actors, the producer, the 2 other people, so there's the 6, maybe 7 of us. And we demolished that thing, and then he goes off, he's talking to the actors about what his sort of vision for this next bit is. And he's going to sort of come talk to me like this is what he wants. It is, after all, his film, he's producing it. But if you remember the last story I gave, the film is actually, the film itself is the intellectual property of the director, not the producer. But like I said, volunteer basis, it was his film, so we're not even going to touch that one. So yeah, he's talking to the other actors and stuff, and I'm talking to my crew, and they tell me that I missed the best thing that happened that morning, which immediately piques my interest. I'm like, oh yeah, what's this amazing thing that I missed out on? And it turned out the film that we were making had prop guns that it was using, and he had not really, informed anyone that he was going to have prop guns out there. And we're not talking like go into the toy section to prop guns. We're talking like go into a firearms store prop guns. They looked realistic. So the people having a barbecue that morning before I rocked up didn't know that these were just fakes and didn't actually shoot rounds. They just made realistic sounds, and they freaked out thinking that someone's rocked up with 2 firearms ready to just like gun people down. So they'd called the cops. The cops had rocked up, checked them, seen that they were just prop guns, gone, yep, cool, we're going to let you keep them for the film, since you're going to be filming today, right? We now know, but after you finish doing this film, you've either got 2 options: get your armorer's license or destroy them, because you can't have them without an armorer's license, because they are realistic prop guns for a film. So you've got to have your armorer's license and know how to actually use a firearm safely, even though it's just a prop. So they've all been like, yep, cool, thank you, officer. Officer's left, and I'm sitting there like, of course I missed the only fun thing about this entire film so far, besides directing it. Directing it was fun. The actors were pretty cool to get to know. That night we go, because the actors are only in town for these films, so we go to one of the pubs in town. It's me, the director, and the 2 actors. We go to this pub, and we're having a feed and a chat, and it's all going really well. And at one point, the producer gets up to go to the toilet or go get drinks or something, and they sort of lean over the table towards me and they're like, just between you and me, we really like your professionalism, but he's just not got a clue what he's doing. And I agreed, because I obviously knew him a lot longer than they did. They'd literally only known him long enough to be like, yeah, cool, could you do this film for me? And then on set sort of thing. That's their only interaction they've ever had with him. Their only interaction with me was that day on the film set. I wasn't even involved in casting them. So for them to say that was really good to hear, and it really sort of, because I'd felt bad about rocking up. I then had to, try and quickly sort out and organise myself on the set to do all these things. He was sort of jerking us around pretty much all day, so I've started to have a gutful of him. But still trying to be polite and civil and stuff, because it's his film at the end of the day. And then so for them to say that at the end of the day during dinner was just the happy ending that day needed. Day 2 comes around. I managed to rock up on time, mainly because I hadn't worked that day. I'd been doing something that I love, and if anyone knows wisdom, it's that a wise man will always say, if you work at something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's exactly how making that film had felt. Sure, the film industry is full of egos and stuff, but if you're in it because you love it, you can deal with a couple of egos. It's probably likely you also have one, a little bit, but yeah. So day 2's come around, and I've turned up on time. We're all there, we're about to start filming, and a paddy wagon pulls in. We're at the same location as well. So the paddy wagon pulls in, they stop beside us. At this, on this day, the park was empty. We were at this like little park near a lake. If you're from Inverell, we were up at Lake Inverell. And we were sort of shooting like in the car park area, sort of that first little bit before the walkway. For everyone else, that made no sense at all. So we were filming up in this little sort of like park area near the lake, and the cops pull up in the car park. Doesn't even get out of the car because we're still sort of getting everything out of the cars. And they ask, they're there to check that we're not going to be using if we're using the firearms or not that day. We're like, no, we're not using them today. Today there's a different film. We've finished doing all of the stuff we needed with those. We haven't even like brought them out today. The producer had kept them back at wherever it was he was staying, like, in his bag. So they weren't even on the set. And then so the cops just sort of reiterates, like, yeah, we'll just make sure you don't, whatever, and off he goes. And just after the cop leaves, the last member of our crew arrives. This is she was my clapper loader on day 1, and I think she did the same thing on day 2. I'm not entirely sure. Day 2 was just sort of, from my memory, a lot of costume changes because the film itself was silent. So in order to evoke different days, there was a lot of costume changes to be like, because obviously we can't just fast forward time to have a night shoot or anything like that. So they're all looking roughly the same time of day, roughly the same weather, etc. And then, yeah, so the only way to tell a difference in time is to have costume changes so that they look different, because you wouldn't, you change into different clothes for different days and stuff. And so we're filming this silent film, doing all these costume changes, and that's basically all I remember for that day. But this crew member has turned up, gotten out of the car, and they look just about ready to burst. And so I'm like, you look happy today, like, what's got you in such a good mood this morning? She then hands us a copy of the local newspaper, and I'm pretty sure it was like the front page article was, or at least like there was something on the front page that had referenced this particular article. But she shows us this article from the local paper from that morning, which means she'd gone by and picked up the paper that morning on her way up, presumably to read during the lunch break, assuming that it was going to take as long as it did the day before. And one of the articles was about us having the prop guns up at the lake. If I can find that article online, I will link it below as well, so that you know. The thumbnail does actually have Steve Cornish in it. He was one of the actors that day. That photo on the thumbnail is actually from that first day's film shoot. He's holding one of the prop guns. I will link his and Angela DeGroot's Instagrams below, or one of their social medias if I can find them. I'll link them below. Definitely give them a follow. They were amazing to work with. And yeah, to sort of finish off that story, I'm still waiting for my copy of that film. Not the only film in my filmography that I'm waiting for a copy of to add to my my folio, but at the moment we're actually in the process of trying to remake them all anyway, because I've got some that are in my possession, but the files are corrupted and stuff, so it's just going to be easier to make this short film that I'm working on at the moment, and sort of basically start again, which is upsetting since I've actually done more than what I've currently got in my filmography, but that's just how things are. That's all I've got for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos from me, and that notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload new ones. Again, links to articles and social medias and stuff in the description down below. Definitely go and check them all out. really upset that I missed out on actually being there the first time, but yeah, definitely made for an interesting day's filming, being the only one not in the loop. It's quite funny, and yeah, until next time guys, keep your head screwed on.